So yours is quite a special one, I feel like, with where you were when you started. So why don't you start there? Kind of where were you before joining and what were you kind of struggling with at that?
Yeah. So I mean, it's been just a year. It was a year
Yeah,
like
happy 1 year.
yesterday. Um, I think, as we've obviously discussed before, for me, I have had a couple of health complications and challenges over the past few years, and I kind of lost myself a wee bit in that, and I had piled on weight, and I wasn't able to do the things that I could before. Like, I was really fit and healthy before, and was going to the gym 4 or 5 times a week, and I had lost all of that. And it wasn't just that I had lost it, but I actually physically couldn't do some of it anymore. Um, and as I say, I'd put weight on. I just didn't feel like myself. I was tired and exhausted. Um, and I didn't really know what I needed. But yeah, didn't have, I guess, that get up and go. And I think because I knew I couldn't do what I had previously done, it kind of got to me a wee bit, I think. And it was, well, how do I adjust? And I didn't know. I was quite lost, I think, is probably the best way. And for me, it wasn't just about the weight. It was about feeling fit, feeling healthy, making sure that if anything did happen again, that I was. And I think because I was so fit and healthy before I had sort of these health challenges, it actually probably helped. So it's
Yeah.
been back there to make sure that when life does knock you down, actually you're okay to, you can pull back from it.
Yeah. And how's your health been since joining the program?
It's like night and day is the only way I can describe it. I was actually thinking about this last night, and I was previously having flare-ups all the time. And for me, flare-ups were like real exhaustion, severe fatigue, sometimes unable to get through the day, really bad inflammation, and with that comes a lot of pain.
Yeah.
Since I've joined, I have had 3 flare-ups. So in a year, I've only had 3, and it was happening all the time. The flare-ups had become the normal, and now it's almost flipped. So that when I was thinking about this last night, I thought it's almost, because it is completely night and day now, it's almost a shock when it
When it
happens.
happened. Well, the
It's
last
never
time
going to
it
go away.
happened, I remember that because we were like, it's such a catch-22 because it feels so much worse now because
Yeah.
you're not used to it, but they're so like few and far between,
Yeah.
which obviously you'd prefer.
100%. I mean, I would rather take that. And I think they're not as severe.
Mhm.
And I generally, day to day, just feel so much better. I feel fitter. I feel healthier. I've got more energy. I'm sleeping so much better. And all of those things are the key for me. And that's obviously what this journey's been about. Yes, the weight is always a bonus, but actually for me, it was
Absolutely.
the health aspect of it and that longevity. And yeah, as I say, 3 flare-ups in a year is like unheard of for me. So it's completely night and day. And when they are flaring up, or I do, it's definitely not as bad. I can bounce back quicker than probably what I was previously, or I'm able to do more in a flare-up than I could previously. It just depends what it looks like.
Yeah, which is because, as you said, like weight is a great bonus. And a lot of the time, we do start this journey because we're so uncomfortable in how we look, what we're wearing, etc. But actually, it's the other things that come from losing the weight that mean so much more. We say this all the time, don't we? But it is the energy, the routine, the confidence, the discipline, all those things are more than just some number on the
Yeah.
scale. You just feel so good day to day.
Yeah.
When we first spoke, because I think originally we did only say we were going to work together, we just do it on a shorter period of time to see how you got on. Because I think you were worried, weren't you, that is this going to be manageable? Can I fit this in? Is this going to cause more exhaustion? How would you describe it and how it's kind of fit into your day to day life? Has it felt easier than you expected?
Yeah, yes is the short answer. I think you're 100% right. I was nervous. I was worried. I think I had got into that space of I almost knew what would trigger things. And I was so scared, I think, that I would set myself back, and I wasn't sure
Yeah.
what it was going to look like. I had obviously tried stuff in the past, and it was very much, well, if you can't do this, which everyone's doing, you're failing. And I know that I can't do what everyone else can do. But actually, I think having that, it wasn't overwhelming. So it wasn't a case of, you must now track your food, you must now do 10,000 steps, you must do 3 workouts a week. And if you don't do all of this from the day one, there's no point. So for me, it was obviously a difficult adjustment. I mean, these things are always difficult for everyone, let's be honest. It's not easy. It's not supposed to be easy. But I think for me, it wasn't overwhelming. It was almost like, right, okay, focus on starting to track your food, because that was something I didn't do. So that was a new thing for me. So, building that up. It was manageable because obviously it was built for me. So it's not like I don't do 10,000 steps a day, but actually what I do, I can fit into a good routine. It's
Yeah.
not tipping me over that edge of, well, it's potentially going to cause a flare up, and I know almost what that limit is. So I think obviously, as you've said, it was going to be a short term thing because I didn't know what it was going to look like. But actually, here we are a year down the line. And when I don't do it, and being away and things like that's different, but I now feel it if I'm not doing anything, or if I've had a couple of bad days and I've not been able to do as much. You do start to feel yourself stiffen up and things. So it's been a whole, I guess, life overhaul for me, but in a good way, because it actually means, yes, I can do it. I know I can do it. Yes, it might not be the same as what everyone else can do, but actually it works for me. It works in my life. I've got a super busy, stressful job. So, sometimes it's unpredictable, but I can still make it work. And that's the thing. And if some weeks it doesn't work, it's also not the end of the world, which is a mindset shift for me, because I was very all or nothing. I'm very an all or nothing person. So
You are a bit of a perfectionist. You do like, to nail things. And I would say 90% of the time you have, there's been very few weeks where you've not been able to do something. You have really applied yourself to this. And I think it's inspiring to hear that for women who do think, oh, if I can't do 10,000 steps a day, if I can't go to the gym 4 times a week, like I just can't get a result. You've dropped, what, 10 kg now? I mean, how many trips have you had in the last year?
7.
Right. So we've had at least 7 trips in the last year on top of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You've been doing 3 workouts from home consistently, getting stronger, seeing your body change massively in terms of tone and definition from that.
Yeah.
And, I think we're up at like, what, 6,500 steps now, which is
Yeah.
still
6,500
an
steps.
increase for you. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
this is where when it's personal and bespoke, it works. You don't
It
have to
does.
do X, Y, and Z, what
Yeah.
Sally next door is doing, do you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. And that was one of the things I was reflecting on last night. In a year, 10 kilos down, which, okay, for some people, they might go, that's quite a long time. But actually, I've had 7 trips. It's not as easy for me because of my underlying conditions.
Yeah.
I've still had days out with the girls, nights out. I think for me, the biggest thing has been the plan fits my life. It's not my life fitting into the plan, if that makes sense. And, you don't, as you say, you don't have to be doing, I've done stuff in the past where it's like, right, there's no excuses for doing less than 10,000 steps a day. And you think, oh, there's just some days it's not possible. And actually for me, it's counterproductive because it does cause inflammation and it does cause the pain, which then starts to trigger flare-ups. But actually having it tailored, having it suit me and my life and what I need, and you can do it. And yes, okay, maybe it's been slower than some people, but actually for me, it wasn't about, as I say, it's not about the weight. It was about the overall health and the overall lifestyle. And actually, it's now became habit. And that's what I wanted to get to. I wanted it to become a habit where when you disappear from my life, it still continues. That was the goal for me.
And keep pushing on. Because we didn't even really speak about a weight loss goal initially.
No.
For you, it was all health. It was just,
Yeah.
I want to feel stronger. I want to feel happier. I want to feel more confident. I want to feel able, really, on a day-to-day basis. And I said to you, the side effects of this is you will drop body fat along the way. And that's what we've managed to achieve alongside. So it's been, absolutely amazing. You should be so proud of what you've
Quite the
achieved.
journey.
I know, I know. I always say this, like even and you were saying when you're on holiday last week, like being able to just put swimwear on and just not think about it. It's such like little moments like that really do mean everything.
100%. And it's those things like, I think for me, I try and not get hung up on the scales. And I know it's far easier to say than do, but because weight has never been the sort of penultimate goal for me, it's not something I focus on. I know it has to be done and it's data and it's things like that, but I think it's not. So it's when I do things like last week, putting the swimwear on, and I didn't overthink it. I wasn't like, oh God, what do I look like? That I'm not sure, I don't feel comfortable. I didn't even think about it, but it was like a few days in, it clicked that I hadn't thought about it, which is always a really, really nice feeling. Of course, it's really nice when people say, God, you can really see all the weight that you've lost and things like that. Most people see me from shoulders up because obviously I work from home, so it's not
Yeah.
entirely, you don't look different from shoulders up.
You
um,
do. You've said that before, like, you the difference in your face even on your
yeah,
Zoom meetings,
yeah.
you can see it.
Yeah, no, it's but yeah, I mean, it's these small things that I think you go, oh yeah, it is having an impact, or you try stuff on and you think your clothes are too big, which is a good bad thing because you obviously then need to buy more clothes, but then you put things on, you think your clothes start to not look right because they're just too big. And I think for me as well, because my body shape has changed so much, that obviously is a bigger thing as well than the scales because they're not always comparable. Your body weight
Right.
can change so significantly, and
Yeah.
maybe the scales aren't moving in what you would assume. So
I
that
think
for me has
yeah,
been a big thing when you look at the actual pictures.
the photos are such, and especially when you're strength training and building up that muscle and so consistently as well, because you will really see that change in your body. Like, if you just focused on food and no training whatsoever, like your body looks very, very different compared to training. And
Yeah,
that's what we want is like we want you to feel strong on a day-to-day basis.
yeah, no, definitely 100%.
And we kind of touched on this, but you've worked with other people. Why? So obviously after that initial couple months, and then we were like, right, we're going to keep going. What made you continue with Sustainable?
I mean, a multitude of things, to be honest. I think the first thing and the big thing for me was I felt heard. So I felt that what I was saying, because I am very aware that probably my goals and my journey is different to a lot of people's, but I felt heard. I felt that, well, actually, that's okay if that's what you want your journey to be. And, we can recognize that the weight's not everything for me. It's all the other things. I think once we got into that sort of routine of those first few months, it is very tailored. So again, like things that haven't worked for me in the past is, well, the minimum is 15,000 steps. We must be doing 4 workouts a week. We must be in a severe calorie deficit. Um, I think especially for women that just doesn't work for
No, we
complicated
need to
people.
enjoy it. Like we need to, like from our core. I'm such a believer in that. We have
Yeah.
to have some level of enjoyment because we do have so much stress.
Yeah. And I think for me, that was the thing. Once you get over the initial fear of, I think, starting, and
Mm.
if you've not done certain things like tracking and things, it does feel a little bit overwhelming. But actually, once you get into that routine and like the support that obviously you give is incredible, I never ever have felt judged. So if I'm like, I'm not feeling my best, I can't manage, I think that's whole something over nothing mentality is a new thing as well, which I think is really strong in that, okay, if you can't do 3 workouts, do 2. If you can't do all your sets, do what you can. And
Mhm.
actually listening, yeah, just that kind of reinforcement of listen to your own body. It's not about, I kind of touched on it already, but it's not a plan that you have to fit your life into. You're like, the plan is so, so good at saying, well, okay, this is your life and this what works for you.
Yeah.
But, somebody else's life looks completely different. So actually that's what works for you. And it's just that like, continuity of that support and tailoring. And for me, the biggest thing is feeling heard, and that me saying probably 10,000 steps a day is not doable for me, not on a every single day basis, but most people just go, and you don't expect people to completely understand every single thing that's going on with your own body. But I think just having that, being heard, yes, it's okay. And actually, that's fine. We will make it work for you.
And that makes me really happy to hear because I think that's essentially the core of it for me is like for it to feel enjoyable, it slots in. Yes, of course, it's still going to feel challenging at times. You are challenging yourself to do something that most people will
Yeah.
never do. And that is in itself going to provide you with so much resilience within yourself and confidence within yourself as well. But you can make anything work for anyone. And when I say that, people are like, yeah, right. And I'm like, no, but you can if you care enough to really get to know that person and understand what they are willing to do in their life as well. You don't have to breathe the gym 6 days a week and eat nothing but rice and chicken.
Yeah.
And no, most people don't want to do that. I don't want to do that, and I'm a coach.
No. No, no, nobody does. And I think the thing that is, I think, always really nice is obviously there's foods that are better for you and foods that are, but there's no sort of good and bad foods, if
Yeah.
that's the way to put it. Quite often I think things that I have done in the past, it's very much like, oh, you shouldn't be eating that. And you shouldn't be eating this, you shouldn't be doing that, you shouldn't be, if you're on a fat loss phase, you can't go out, you can't, you can't leave your house. That doesn't work for the majority of people. It certainly doesn't work for me. I'm a social person. I always have lots of
Yeah.
things on.
Yeah.
Not, I guess, demonizing food, because that can be quite, I personally find that quite difficult. Obviously, there's things that are better and that aren't, but actually, if you're out or whatever, or in my case, you're renovating a house and, you can't always make the ideal dinner. Actually, it's okay. It is fine as long as you're focusing the majority of it. But you can make it work even in the chaos, as I have referred to my life this year, with moving and renovating and all those things.
And we've still made it work. And, yeah, we've adjusted and we've thought, right, what can we make when the kitchen's
Yeah.
not in use? And that's where the support and guidance and planning comes in, because it's like, you're not alone in that. Another thing you have to then do and figure out. It's like, you've got the support along the way to help you navigate. And that's what we've done. So would you recommend if someone asked you whether to join?
100%. I think definitely I cannot sing your praises enough. I think it's an incredible journey. Yes, as I say, it can be difficult. It's not supposed to be easy. If it was easy, we'd all be doing it.
I know. Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. I could not recommend it enough. I think it is, you're investing in yourself, I think, aren't you, when you're doing that? And I know a lot of people, for some, it comes down to cost and things like that. But actually what you're getting back is just, it's not here's one plan and it's going out to 300 people. It is very, very tailored. And I think you don't get much better than that. And I think I've said this before. I didn't know what I needed, but I knew what I didn't need.
Yeah.
And actually it turned out it was this I needed, but I didn't quite know that at the time. So yeah, can't recommend it enough.
I know it is the investments, obviously, and it can be a shock to people as well, I think. But you do it and you do it right. Think about how much like, I know how much money I've wasted on stuff that didn't work.
Exactly.
Your journey is really inspiring, because for a lot of people, it is about the weight loss. And I think actually we a lot of the time forget the actual health implications and the feeling of just being super healthy on a day-to-day basis and the benefit that that brings to your life. And that's really what's been shown through in yours. And I think it's incredible.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why I was kind of keen to do this as well, because I know obviously the weight is a lot of people's goals, but
Mhm.
there will be people out there that are in similar situations to me.
Yeah.
And it is more about that, it is that day-to-day feeling. And it is the being stronger and being healthier and not being feeling back to myself, because I always was myself. But I think there was just that period sort of for me where I was a bit like, don't know where to go now. I don't know what to do. But yeah, the difference is just incredible. And I know I notice it, but other people notice it as well, that I've got more energy and, I'm just
There.
cheerier and happier.
Well, this is it. It's mood, even just like mood on a day-to-day basis. I think you still have your off days, but you do generally just feel happier. And that comes from a multitude of things. It's, as I say, the discipline, the drive, the doing the hard thing, proving to yourself you can do it, feeling physically better, your clothes fitting better. It's everything added up. Just, yeah, there's definitely a spring in your step with it.
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. It's been an interesting journey. It's been a good journey. It's not over yet, but yeah, I'm excited to see what happens next.